I'm being joined again by a former Minister of Aviation, a lawyer, a former youth leader in the Third Republic, who recently returned to the APC, Chief Fani-Kayode joins us tonight on the program. Thank you so much, Chief, for
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
What exactly is happening in your party? Well, you saw Ayo Yalawa was visibly angry and upset about the situation of things.
Yes. Well, I think the first and most important thing is that we need to cool down and calm down. This is a very difficult time for everybody, not just in the party, but in the country. We need to be level-headed, focused, clear thinking, and try to appreciate the challenges that the party and each and every one of us is facing. I think it doesn't really help when people lose their cool, begin to make wild allegations, attacking personalities that are in the party, particularly the leadership, and so on and so forth. I don't think that's the way forward. Definitely people have the right to be critical of what's going on. It's their right. I mean, this is democracy. But at the same time, it should be within certain confines and limits. People have concerns. There are channels to express those concerns, not to come out publicly just a few months before an election, a presidential election, and you are casting aspersions on leaders of the party across the board. This is a very, very dangerous thing. And I would urge everybody, particularly the very angry young men that have been on your program. One was on earlier, one was on yesterday, and they are angry. But I would urge them to try to sheathe their swords, rein themselves in, try to channel their anger in the right direction within confined circles and try to resolve these issues in an amicable way. Because at the end of the day, there has to be a strong party, strong leadership to be able to go to the field and fight an election against the People's Democratic Party.
And I'd like to ask you a personal question.
Please do.
Do you, for a moment, think because of the enormity of the crisis in the APC, think that you have entered from frying pan to fire?
You've asked me that before.
But now, the last time, things were not this intense.
This is not fire at all. I happen to know quite a lot about what's happening within the party and within the leadership of the party. Remember, I was in the APC at the initial stage, so I know all the people that started this party. I know where it's gone to, I know where it is today. I know the transformation that has taken place in terms of quality of leadership over the last couple of years since my Malabuni has been there. And I appreciate that, and I know what's been going on. I know, for example, that within this new APC that I call them, that you have a situation where Governor Yaya Bello has led a mobilization committee which has resulted in 41 million members joining the party. I'm in a party in which somebody like Senator Adamu Abdullahi is heading a reconciliation committee set up by the Maibuni committee, and they're doing an exceptional job. They've resolved many issues quietly in many of the states. I'm in a party in which we have a national chairman who has done exceptionally well, in my view. Absolutely. You see,
if you look at what Ayo Yalawa was saying today, how would you substantiate that he has done just that? I mean, if you heard what the young man said yesterday, their views are that the man had brought down the party from the level it was. How would you react to that?
This is a man under whose leadership the party has increased in numbers, a man under whose leadership people, governors, senators, leaders of the opposition party have come to join the party in large numbers, in their millions. This is a man who has provided intellectual leadership and quality, virile, strong leadership for the party, despite the chartered waters the party is sailing in. I mean, this is a storm that the party is going through and has been going through over some time, but he has charted it pretty well. He has tried to reconcile all the factions. He has increased the number of membership. He has come under the leadership of the president. He has been guided, and he's trying to manage a very difficult situation.
But what about the allegations of sit-tight? That has been leveled against you?
They are making these allegations simply because people do not appreciate the fact that to establish and organize a convention is a very complicated situation where you have factions in various states. Yes, mistakes may have been made. They're not infallible. But to say, for example, that Maibuni is collecting money, to say, for example, that he's a sit-tight leader, to say, for example, that he has no brain, that he's ignorant, and so on and so forth, these are very, very unnecessary, wild, crazy statements to make on national TV. What needs to happen is they must rein themselves in. He is not a fool. He is not uneducated. He is not illiterate. He is not a sit-tight leader. He is not somebody that is there collecting money from anybody else. And I challenge anybody that says to bribe money.
When the young man said yesterday that he can substantiate, and I asked him, can you substantiate? He said, yeah, this happened. And he mentioned names of...
Let him do that. And that's between him and perhaps the courts and the chairman of the party. He should do that, but is that the right thing to do at a time when we're trying our best to come together to go to election later? There may be issues. He may have a point. He may not have a point. But there are ways of expressing this. There are ways of resolving this. Is this what he believes would make the president happy? Do they believe the president will be happy seeing all these things being said? If there are issues, let's resolve them in an amicable, decent manner. Listen, let me tell you, the bottom line is this, okay? If Maybuni didn't have integrity, this party would have sunk long ago. I know for a fact there are many, many people, elements within the PDP that try to literally convince him, literally bribe him to ensure that many of the people that crossed over and joined the APC did not do so. They tried very, very hard to stop some of us from leaving. That is a fact. He didn't succumb to that. He did the right thing. He reached out to people across the board and he brought them on board, number one. Number two, you must also appreciate the challenges that he's facing. The first challenge is this. There are forces within the party, I dare say, that are hell-bent on hijacking the convention by imposing their own candidate. There are elements in the party that want to be president at all costs, and they are hell-bent on forcing a quick convention and using whatever resources they have to impose their own candidate so that they can now come in 2023 as a party flag bearer. He's contending against those forces. There's another force, which is even more dangerous than that, and that is a coalition of people from outside the party and within the party who have come together and whose resolve is destroy the APC at all costs, force a convention, let the whole place fall apart, and therefore we will now create a third force in order to fight the APC, or what's left of it, and the PDP. If you look at the PDP, there are elements they're fighting within as well. Very, very strong fight going on. They are planning to come together to form a third force to take us all on. And these are the issues that people have to appreciate. So when you come on TV and you begin to hurl bricks at the leader of your party, rather than do it behind closed doors in the right place and speak like a human being in a decent, restrained manner.
Isn't that the beauty of democracy?
No, democracy is an exchange of ideas, and you can express yourself in any way that you want, but you do not indulge in libel, in defamation, you do not indulge in slander, and you do not make unsubstantiated claims. You don't make claims you cannot substantiate. I mean, we've all got annoyed before, we've all said things we shouldn't have said, but this is a time that we must have the sense of purpose and decency to understand that there is a time to be restrained and to be decent. Maymala is a good man, a profoundly good man. If he was not, I would say so here and now. A man that has attracted so many people on board to this party, a party that many people never felt they would be in. I'm close to Matawali. I know why he came. Had it not been for Maymala, I doubt he would have been able to come here. I can say the same of Ayadi, I can say the same of myself, and so many others. I won't mention other names, but there are so many others that would not have been in this party and are not ready to prepare for the big battle next year for the presidential, had it not been for him. So it's not fair on him at all for them to be talking about him like that.
Because you wonder that it was received with a lot of open arms by lots of members of the party. And it does look like things got bad. And when you say that it's not a sit tight, based on the allegations that these people are making, how do you explain that the first 6 months that was promised to get things done, another 6 months was added, and there are no explanation to another 6 months, and it's gone to almost a year and almost 20 months. How do you explain that?
There are explanations for this. There would not have been an extension had Mr. President not seen in his wisdom, and he sees all. He knows what's going on in the party. He extended their tenure for a damn good reason. They needed more time to stabilize the situation. Again, it happened again. There was a second extension. Now it's a question of convention. 26, there's absolutely nothing sacrosanct. They made an announcement. They realized there was an election on that day in various parts of the country, and those people would have been disenfranchised had it been the convention went ahead. There was a lot of hullabaloo. A lot of people were worried and were complaining. And at the end of the day, they came together and they resolved it would take place on March the 26th, 1 month later. This does not mean that we should turn the whole tub upside down, throw out the water with the bath water with the baby, and begin to scream as if there's no tomorrow.
Are you saying that 1 year was not enough for them to put up a convention?
I'm saying that, well, they haven't been planning the convention for 1 year.
No, they've been on for a year and several months.
What they've been trying trying
so
to
the allegations from those guys are that, look, you promised 6 months, you got another extra 6 months, then you continue to get
organize a party
other months without explanation of what is happening.
You cannot organize a party convention unless you have a party. You must have a modicum of unity, a modicum of peace. You don't want a convention where half the people will come with cutlasses and machetes and say they want to kill one another in the name of representation. There are major crises. There were major crises in most of the states up until quite recently. Because most have been resolved now. Now listen, this is very important. Most have been resolved now. Who is giving them the credit for that? Nobody's talking about that. Most have been resolved. New people have come into the party. New fresh blood has come into the party. There's hope. There's vision, there's power, and we want to march forward as one, not in disarray. Listen, let me tell you, we have a stake in this. Many of us have risked everything by coming to the APC, and it's not something we joke with at all. We must have a united party, and I'm opening my arms to everybody, and so is everybody else. My Mala is trying his very best to cobble this together and enter a new convention whereby everybody will go there peacefully, elect a new national working committee, and prepare the party for an election. So, and I think we should allow them to do that.
I'd like you to respond to some of the issues they raised. I'm basically bringing those issues for you to react to. One of the issues is that, according to them, that Memala Buni-led caretaker committee has left the party more divided than he met it.
That is simply not true. If you remember what happened before, and I was on the other side of the divide at the time, nobody, absolutely nobody, in my view, would have come anywhere near the APC had it been that the old leadership had still been there. They were fighting each other. Oshimole was leading the party. All kinds of issues were going on. All kinds of things were happening. And the president and the party leadership, in their infinite wisdom, decided to kick them out and bring in a more refreshing leadership, a younger leadership, a more dynamic leadership, a more accommodating and liberal leadership. And it has worked beautifully. Now, there may be issues here and there, but to say they failed is absolutely wrong. It's unacceptable. It's not true. It is dynamic. It is strong. There are hiccups, issues here and there, but these things can be resolved in a decent, civilized way behind closed doors without hurling bricks at one another.
Before I bring to you some of the sound bites of what happened earlier today, I'd like you to also respond to these. And so there are dates that have been promised before now of when the convention will happen, and they've never happened. And this is what the man who just left in that same situation you're sitting said, look, how can we then believe what they're saying now when they've gone back on their own words few days after? So the explanation until you have a Saturday convention, as of Monday or Sunday, there is no idea of what is happening. The pre-activities to the convention never held. So how do you then explain that? And according to him, he said the party is so disorganized.
Well, you know, there are issues and there is a reason why the convention did not hold.
And the lack of communication.
And that is very clear.
Thereafter.
There are issues and there are a lot of discussions going on behind closed doors. Decisions have to be made. They can't make these decisions or discussions public. And these things were arrived at, perhaps at a late stage, but at least there's an understanding and a resolve amongst all these people. 22 sitting governors at APC, 22 of them in the Progressive Governors Forum. Then you have the National Caretaker Committee itself, made up of eminent leaders of the party. And they are consulting widely, I can assure you of that. They're consulting virtually everybody.
Do you think that they have a problem? You've handled communication at the level of presidency before. Is there a breakdown in communication? Because it does look like a lot of people are not carried along.
Listen.
And that's why they are aggrieved.
You know, listen, it's possible that these people, you know, have taken a position and are being used by forces within the party who simply want to push this committee out of the way and have their way at the convention. I don't know that. I'm saying there's a possibility. Some may be genuinely concerned, and there's nothing wrong with that. You can be upset, you can be angry with your party leaders, and you can voice it. What I object to is one simple thing. You don't cross the line by casting aspersions on people's character and people's motivations for doing things. You may believe Maimala has made a mistake here and there. You can say so. But to say he's A, B, C, D, E, and everything evil under the sun, I think, you claim to be in that party. He is your party leader, even if you like him or not. The fact of the matter is it does not go down well for the image of the party. We must build these bridges. We must work together. And I say it again, it is very, very important. The people that are enjoying this are the PDP.
But is there an embarrassment for the party, a ruling party that seems to be in a state of in a disastrous state?
No, first of all, it is not in a disastrous state. They simply changed the date of the convention. There's no disaster there. Secondly, it is not an embarrassment because they have not lost anything. People are still in the party. Millions of people have confidence in the leadership of the party. Millions of people have confidence in Mr. President. And millions of people have confidence that come 2023, APC will trounce the PDP at the presidential election and ensure that our country continues to go forward.
So you don't think that the flip-flop...
So I don't think that's a disaster.
You think the flip-flop is not a disaster?
I would not call this a flip-flop. I would not call it a flip-flop.
A flip-flop in a simple Oxford English definition. Mr. Fani-Kayode, let me just a moment.
Sure.
It's a flip-flop because when you... So if a party, for example, wanted to conduct a convention and in the middle of the way, they just discovered, we've not conducted, zonal congresses, we've not conducted, isn't that a flip-flop?
Let me put this to you in an equal way, or in an equal manner. If, for example, we set for tomorrow to go somewhere, to go for a wedding or something like that, and then we discover that halfway to the wedding, that there's a bomb planted in the venue of the wedding, and we decide to say, listen, this wedding cannot go on. We have to go back home and set another date. Let's do it a month later. Would you consider that to be a flip-flop? There are reasons for these decisions that were made. These people didn't just sit down and wake up and say, oh, we're going to change the date. There were cogent, clear reasons. They did the right and responsible thing. They ensured they carried people along. They need to do more in terms of communication to win these very, very angry young men, some of them very pretty wild over, to calm them down and reach out to them. I agree with that. But most importantly is that these decisions were made in good faith for the good of the party and ultimately for the good of the country.
Let me allow our viewers for a moment to listen to Senator Akpan Uduade earlier this evening when he was making the statement from the outcome of that meeting the caretaker committee held today. And I'll come back. There is a rumor going around about the plan by some leaders in the party to force their own decision of the presidential, vice presidential candidate on the rest of the party. I'll allow Chief Fani-Kayode to react to that after the soundbite. Take a listen to Senator Akpan Uduade.
We have agreed and approved that the activities of the National Convention commence from the 24th of March and terminates on the 26th of March. The convention's activities commence on the 24th of February and will terminate at Eagle Square of National Convention on the 26th of March. In between the convention, we have agreed to have zonal congresses, and all the activities is hereby given. Conventions activities commence from this month on the 24th of February and shall terminate on the 26th of March. In between the convention activities, there shall be a zonal congresses.
Senator Akpan Uduade, the secretary of the APC Caretaker Committee, I'd like you to respond to that.
Well, first of all, Chair, I'd like to ask you, where's the disaster there? He's made it very clear. Responsible, clear statement. Processes will begin on the 24th of February. They will have zonal congresses at some point. Everything will culminate on the National Convention, in the National Convention on the 26th of March. That's 1 month, virtually, of strong activity, clear activity, where people will be able to elect their leaders at zonal level and also at the National Convention at the national level. I think this is a reasonable, rational approach, and I have no doubt that they will stick to this and they'll do as they said.
So you kept saying issues. There are issues. There are issues. You mean, what are these issues?
Issues where?
No, when I was asking you the reasons, I brought some of the allegations and the issues these guys raised against the Buni-led, and you said there are issues that they needed to resolve. There are issues that did not allow them to make up their minds early enough. What are the real issues?
Definitely, like in any family, there will be issues. It could be big, small, whatever. But what I am prepared to tell you is this, that there are certainly some elements within the party, as is the case with any other party, that there are some individuals that were hell-bent on railroading the Buni-led committee to have a convention as quickly as possible, simply so that they could ensure that their own candidates emerged. And That is something that would have been unacceptable, because if that happened, a lot of people would have ended up leaving party. And why were they doing it? Simply because they're interested in 2023. What the committee is trying to do, and what I believe the president will end up doing, and is also trying to do, is create a level playing field whereby everybody has a fair crack at the whip. You don't just simply get your way because you have money. You don't simply get your way because you have connections or because you are so and so and so and so. But everybody will have a fair crack at the whip and be able to contest for these positions. And I think that's the right and proper thing to do if we want to win in 2023.
The allegations going around in the APC that there are some elements and leaders that are trying to force some persons on the party as the national chairman. They already have a preferred choice of a national chairman and almost predestined such a person to emerge as a national chairman. And they also have on their minds the presidential candidate for the party and the running mate in some governors. How deep-rooted or seated are these rumors? Are they true?
Well, first of all, I think you'd have to put that to those that have been accused of doing this. I do know, however, that there are elements within the party, like I said earlier, that are interested in foisting their own party chairman to ensure that he will then pave the way for them to emerge as presidential or vice presidential candidate. That I have no doubt. But what worries me the most is the other scenario I painted for you, which is that there are elements that are actively funding and supporting within the party and outside the party, elements in PDP and APC that are actually working to destroy the APC completely with shenanigans like this, and at the same time destroy the PDP with shenanigans that are going on there. Then eventually they'll all come together in one happy marriage and form what they call the third force to take on the remnants of the APC and PDP. But they will fail by God's grace.
We need to close down, and I have two short questions for you. With what is happening, what is your own advice on the way forward? What solution?
Sure. The way forward is to have patience, to sheathe our swords, to come together as one, to understand that the destiny of this country is firmly in the hands of the APC. We must work together. We must, sheathe the sword, and we must ensure that we have confidence and give support in and for the leadership of the party. They've given their word. They've said they'll start the process in February 24th, end it on March the 26th. Let's give them the opportunity to do that.
Do you
Let's
think
work
that
with
the
them.
president should be more involved?
I believe the president, I hope and pray, I gather there's going to be a big meeting tomorrow. I hope and pray that the president endorses this. I believe that he's already involved, and I believe that he will do the right thing because he loves this country, and he will ensure that APC comes out stronger than it's ever been for 2023.
Finally, I know you're an advocate that the presidency should go to the South in 2023.
You know that.
I know, you've said it several times. But it does look like things may not go the way you wanted it.
No,
what is happening?
Let me clarify my position on that. My position is that it's very important that the president. First of all, I'm not a big believer in zoning anymore. I believe that zoning is something that could actually create more problems than produces. But if you insist on zoning, I believe you should go to a zone that has never had it before. I believe that.
And which
the Middle Belt has never had it. The Southeast has never had it. But the Middle Belt has never had an democratically elected president or a democratically elected vice president, whilst the Eastern Zone has had a democratically elected vice president. So in my view, I believe strongly that merit and the individual concern, we need a strong, powerful, decisive person
is your friend,
and a young person
and it's from the
that can go
North
forward. Great candidate. But
is that the reason why you've changed your mind?
No. It's a progressive thing for me. And in my view, I believe strongly that you don't just get up and hold on to things. You have to look at the situation we have on the ground. Zoning has its place and has had its place in the past. And of course, there are people that would disagree with me in the party or outside the party. They're entitled to their view. But I believe that the situation we're in now requires a strong person that can move the country forward decisively with energy and power. And I don't believe we should limit ourselves to any particular zone. But if you talk about zoning, talk about those. The Middle Belt are people, North Central are human beings. They've never, ever had it before in the history of our country, a democratically elected president or vice president. Why would anybody
someone like Bukola Saraki is from that zone?
Well, Bukola Saraki is in the wrong party. If he'd come over to APC, perhaps he could be considered. Unfortunately,
he's your friend.
Unfortunately, he's still great friend of mine for 40 years. Unfortunately, he's still in Wike People's Party, PDP, and therefore, he would have had a better chance here. But I believe that at the end of the day, the leaders of our party will come to the right decision, and Mr. President will also play a key role in that.
Chief Fani-Kayode, former aviation minister and the chieftain of the APC, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate
God bless you. Thanks.
Well, we take a break. No, we need to go, not a break. That's the show today for for us here. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. I'm sure Kimale. Bye for now.